Hi, I'm Angie Moreski. Did you ever wonder how banks can get away with charging loan shark interest rates that would make even the mafia blush? Well, it has to do with an ancient concept called usury law, which the lending institutions have pretty much managed to circumvent. Consumer Warning Network managing editor Terry Smiljanich is here to talk about his new column for Where's the Outrage on why banks can get away with charging these outrageously high interest rates for consumers. Okay, Terry, so how is this even possible? Why isn't it criminal?
Well, it would be criminal, Angie, if I loaned you $10,000 and charged you 36% interest, or Tony Soprano loans you $10,000. It would be criminal to charge 36% interest, because 36% interest, let me translate that into concrete numbers. That means that if you borrow $10,000 from me and I charge you 36% interest, in just about 2 years, you would owe me $20,000. In 5 years, you'd owe me almost $50,000, and in 10 years, you would owe me $200,000 on that $10,000 loan. That would be criminal.
36%, and these are real interest rates banks are charging today.
We have on our website, we have a copy of a Bank of America credit card statement showing that their highest interest rate that they can charge you is 36%.
Outrageous. Okay, so this has to do with this concept usury.
Right.
Explain what that is.
Usury is an ancient concept. It's been around a long time. Since time immemorial, governments and religions have recognized that when the rich have money and the poor need to borrow that money, and the rich rent their money out to the rich have the poor over a barrel, and they should not be allowed to charge just whatever interest they want. In fact, in the Christian church, as recently as the 15th century, it was a subject to excommunication if you even charged any interest. Interest is illegal under Islamic law. But England changed that in the 16th century and did allow lenders to charge up to 10% interest. And that's anything beyond that was considered usurious, which was a crime under common law, and came over to the United States. And usury law is a part of U.S. law as well.
So there were caps on it. What happened? 10% is a far way from 36.
As recently, let's take Florida for an example. As recently as 1979, 10% was the rate you could charge, the highest rate you could charge in Florida on a loan. But what happened in 79, 80, 81 is inflation, as you may recall, started going through the roof. I mean, we had inflation annual rates of averaging about 13% during that time. So when you have interest rates here and you have inflation here, the interest rate kind of floats above the the inflation rate.
Right.
But when the inflation rate starts going up past the interest rate, the legislatures recognize, well, we need to raise that cap. So they did raise it up to 18%.
Okay.
So now you have 18% cap and you have inflation here. Well, what happened after 1981? Inflation starts going down, all the way down to now we have an annual inflation rate of about 3%.
Historically low.
So what happened to the 18% cap? Stayed right there. And to this day in Florida, you can charge up to 18% interest on a loan. Now you wonder, how do you get from 18% to 36%?
Right. And what happened there? The politicians came into the picture.
Yes, thanks to our friendly politicians of both parties. We had in 1999 the passage of something called the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Now, very few people, have heard of that. But believe me, Gramm-Leach-Bliley is a forerunner to much of what happened in our meltdown in the last few years. That act allowed banks such as Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Citicorp to merge with financial institutions and become these gigantic financial entities that were into investment banking as well as banking.
And blurred the line completely.
Yes. And then a small little provision was slipped into the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act that said, oh, and by the way, when it comes to charging interest rates, what can you charge in the way of interest? We will allow any national bank to charge whatever the highest interest rate they can charge in any particular state in the union where they have a branch. And whatever that highest interest rate is in that branch state, they can charge all over the United States. So friendly South Dakota, the nice state up north where Mount Rushmore is.
Right.
South Dakota's legislators decided, let's just do away with usury laws. We don't need this ancient concept. It's a pesky little law. So they actually abolished all maximum cap on interest rates between two parties to a contract. Now that there is no cap in South Dakota, guess what? all these major banks. They all have branches in South Dakota. In fact, South Dakota had such lovely climate that Wells Fargo decided to consolidate all their various banking entities into one big banking entity with headquarters in lovely Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
So South Dakota is very popular with the banks.
Exactly.
Everybody has a branch there. And
And
because they have a branch in South Dakota, they can charge 36% or whatever they want in every other state in the union.
They can charge as much as they want. And the idea that now we have a situation where a credit card company can charge you whatever interest rate they feel like, but the mob can't and individuals can't. I mean, where is the justification in that?
It's crazy.
There is none whatsoever.
Right.
We have Graham Leach Bliley, and we have people like former Senator Phil Gramm, who was instrumental in its passage. We also had Clinton's Treasury Secretary Robert Rubin, instrumental in its passage. And what happened to those two? Well, Senator Gramm is now Vice Chairman of Investment Banking at UBS, and Robert Rubin became Chairman of Citigroup, one of those large merged financial institutions that he earned something like $126 million in compensation over 8 years.
So they're doing okay,
They're
while
doing
the consumers are hurting pretty badly now.
Yes, they are.
What can we do about it?
What can we do about it? Well, I tell you what. No politician can justify where we are right now. So if you write your congressman, or I tell you what, the next time your local congressman or congresswoman has a public forum and is taking public questions, why don't you raise your hand and say, by the way, congressman or senator, how do you justify letting credit card companies charge up to 36% interest on a credit card loan? Do you think that's fair? No politician in this country is going to say yes to that question. Ask them, and then say, well, then why are you allowing it to happen? Or write the friendly legislature in South Dakota and say, why are you people allowing Bank of America and Citigroup and these other entities to charge excessive mafia rates on credit card loans? Do something about it. Complain. This is our country. It's not their country.
That's right. This is fascinating. Something definitely needs to be done about this. Okay, Terry, thank you very, very much. And you can read more in Terry's column, Where's the Outrage? And be sure to click on our links to write your congressman and those legislators in South Dakota. For Consumer Warning Network, I'm Angie Moreski.